The first drops of rain hit Erin's face like tiny slaps as she crouched by the Mustang's side, shielding him with her body as much as she could. The foals cried out again, tiny, frail things trembling behind a fallen log at the forest edge. She could see their ribs. They were starving. "Over here!" she shouted, waving her arms as the rescue team emerged through the trees. 3 responders ran forward with a gurney and emergency vet supplies. One of them, a tall man named Javier, immediately dropped to the stallion's side. "He's in shock," he murmured, checking the horse's vitals with quick, expert hands. "Broken leg. Deep lacerations on the side. We need to sedate and move now." "No time to wait," Erin said. "Storm's closing in. And he's not alone." Her voice cracked. She pointed toward the foals. Javier's eyes widened. "Are those?" "Yes. His foals. He leapt off that waterfall to lead them away from danger." A silent beat passed. The team sprang into action. As Javier began to administer a sedative, Erin crawled toward the trembling foals. She moved slowly, hands open, speaking softly. "Hey there, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The smaller of the two, the one with a limp, flinched as she got closer. The other nudged its sibling protectively. Erin's heart squeezed. "You're so brave," she whispered. "Just like your dad." The injured foal's leg was swollen, likely sprained. Not life-threatening, but they needed warmth, food, and treatment fast. Erin pulled off her soaked jacket, wrapping it gently around the smaller one. "I've got you," she murmured, as the vet team loaded the stallion into a sling, careful to avoid worsening his leg. Erin led the foals alongside. Every few steps they would stumble, then look to her with wide, frightened eyes. She didn't rush. She stayed close. Back at the mobile rescue truck, warm blankets for fluids and a soft bed waited. The stallion, now sedated, was placed inside. Erin climbed in after him, guiding the foals close to his side. They huddled near his body, comforted by his familiar scent. Erin stayed, soaking wet, arms wrapped around the little family. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" she whispered to the sleeping Mustang. "You gave everything. You leapt into the unknown, to protect them." She didn't realize she was crying until a tear hit the filly's coat. As the truck rumbled to life, the storm finally broke above them. Rain pounded the roof like a drumbeat, but inside the vehicle, it was quiet. Still, Erin reached for her phone. She opened the camera and snapped a photo. 2 tiny foals curled beside a battle-worn stallion, their unlikely rescuer nestled beside them. She uploaded it to the rescue center's page with a simple caption. Asterisk, this stallion leapt off a 50-foot waterfall. Not to escape, but to lead his babies to safety. We're bringing them home. Asterisk. Within hours, the post exploded. Thousands of shares. Comments from around the world. Donations poured in. Strangers offered blankets, food, foster care. One message read, Asterisk, he's not just a horse. He's a hero. Asterisk. Erin sat back, exhausted but full of something else too. Hope. Back at the sanctuary, the stallion was carefully lifted into a padded stall. He stirred as the sedative wore off, groaning softly. The foals were settled in a cozy pen beside him, now eating eagerly from bottles. Dr. Patel, the sanctuary's lead vet, arrived within the hour. This leg will need surgery, she said. But it's fixable. He's lucky to be alive. No, Erin said quietly. We're lucky he's alive. Dr. Patel smiled. He has a name? Erin looked at the stallion. Mud-caked. Bloodied. Brave. Valor, she said. His name is Valor. The vet nodded. Fitting. That night, Erin couldn't sleep. She sat outside the stable in the soft glow of the moonlight. The rain had passed, and stars peeked out from the retreating clouds. Inside, Valor shifted in the hay. One of the foals whimpered, and he nuzzled it gently. A father's instinct. Unbreakable. Erin's chest ached with something she couldn't name. Not sadness. Not fear. It was reverence. But then she noticed something strange. Valor's breathing hitched. His body stiffened. Erin jumped to her feet. Dr. Patel, come quick. She didn't wait. She ran inside, dropping to her knees beside Valor. His eyes fluttered, then rolled back. Machines beeped rapidly. No, stay with me, please. The vet arrived moments later with 2 assistants. Possible internal bleeding, she barked. Prep the table. We're going in now. As they wheeled him away, the foals cried and tried to follow. Erin held them back, whispering gently. Stay. He's going to fight. Just like he did for you. And she meant it. But in her heart, fear clung like a shadow. This wasn't over. Not yet. The roar of rushing water filled the air, crashing down from a 50-foot cliff into the swirling pool below. Onlookers froze, their eyes wide with horror as the Mustang appeared at the edge. Its hooves kicked up dust. Its muscles trembled. For a second, everything went still. Then the unthinkable happened. He leapt. The wild Mustang, a striking gray with streaks of white like lightning down its flanks, threw himself off the ledge and into thin air. A scream burst from the lips of the woman watching below. Her name was Erin, a rescue volunteer who had been tracking this stallion for days. Time slowed. The sunlight caught in the horse's mane as his body twisted midair, legs flailing for control. For one heart-stopping second, Erin was sure she had just witnessed a suicide. But there was no time to think. She ran. Erin's boots hit the wet rocks as she sprinted down the side trail, barely able to breathe. Her mind replayed the scene over and over. The horse's desperate eyes, the way he launched himself as if fleeing something unseen. She didn't care that her hands were scraped, or that her radio flew from her belt. All she knew was that the horse, needed her now. The wild Mustang had been wandering dangerously close to the falls all week. Locals had spotted him pacing the edge, visibly anxious, trembling. Erin had begged the rescue team to intervene sooner, but jurisdiction battles and paperwork delayed the response. Now she feared it was too late. She finally reached the base of the waterfall. Mist soaked her face, and her eyes darted around the swirling water. Then movement. Oh God! The Mustang was alive. Barely. He was in the water, thrashing, fighting to stay afloat. One leg looked limp. Blood mixed with the foam. Erin's training kicked in. She didn't hesitate. She jumped in. The cold was a punch to her lungs. The current dragged her sideways, but she fought through it, pushing forward with frantic strokes. Her hand brushed his mane. He jerked, panicked, but she held on. Easy. Easy, boy. I've got you. She wrapped one arm around his neck, keeping his head above the surface. His body was trembling beneath her, weak but still breathing. The shore felt miles away, but inch by inch, she pulled them both toward safety. Erin collapsed on the pebbled bank, gasping. The Mustang lay beside her, chest heaving. His sides were scraped raw, and his front leg was twisted unnaturally. But he was alive, and so was she. You did it, she whispered, tears mixing with the mist on her cheeks. She brushed her wet hair back and looked into his eyes. What she saw stunned her. There was no wild panic, no fear, just pain and trust. She had no words for it, only a promise. Help was coming. He wouldn't be alone again. But as sirens echoed faintly in the distance and backup finally began to arrive, Erin noticed something that stopped her breath all over again. The Mustang wasn't alone. Out of the mist, smaller shapes emerged. Two foals, barely a few weeks old, trembled behind the rocks, crying out. The stallion had leapt to save them. Erin's heart shattered, then overflowed. You brave, beautiful soul. You weren't running away. You were leading them to safety. But one of the foals was limping badly, struggling to walk. And the storm above was about to break. Thunder rolled across the sky. Erin stood shakily, signaling the med team as she wrapped her arms around the drenched Mustang's neck. This wasn't over. Not yet. The surgical lights buzzed overhead as Dr. Patel and her team worked in urgent silence. Valor's vitals flickered on the monitor, unstable but holding. Every second felt like an eternity. Outside the operating room, Erin sat on the cold bench, her soaked jeans still clinging to her skin, arms wrapped around the foals to keep them calm. They whimpered now and then, sensing the tension, sensing something was wrong. One of the assistants passed by, offering a small smile. We're doing everything we can. Erin nodded but didn't speak. Her thoughts spiraled. She had seen plenty of rescues. She'd pulled cats from abandoned buildings, dogs from storm drains, even a deer from a wire fence. But this was different. This wasn't just about survival. This was about sacrifice. Valor had made a choice. An impossible one. He didn't just fall. He leapt for love. 2 hours passed. Then 3. Finally, Dr. Patel emerged, her scrubs stained, face worn. Erin stood instantly. Is he? He's alive, the vet said, exhaling with relief. Barely. But he pulled through. We stopped the internal bleed and stabilized the leg. Now it's up to him to fight. Erin's knees gave way, and she collapsed onto the bench, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." The foals nuzzled her side, sensing her release of tension. That night, the stable was quieter than it had been in days. Valor lay in deep slumber, tubes running into his side, a soft blanket covering him. Erin sat just outside his stall, the foals curled up in her lap. She whispered stories to them, about the stars, about strong horses, about bravery. When she looked up, she saw it. Valor's eye half-lidded, watching her. "You're awake," she said softly, standing. He didn't move much, but his gaze was steady, calm, trusting. "You're safe now." "They're safe." He let out a low breath, something between a sigh and a groan. Then, impossibly, he lifted his head a few inches and rested it gently beside one of his foals. Erin's heart cracked wide open. News spread like wildfire. The story of the brave mustang who leapt off a waterfall for his young touched hearts across the globe. TV crews called. Donations soared. Children sent hand-drawn cards with captions like, "Valor the hero horse," and "Jumping for love." The sanctuary was overwhelmed, in the best way. Weeks passed. Valor's leg healed slowly, with daily care, massages, and rehab walks. He began to eat more, regain weight. The foals, named Hope and Spirit, never left his side. Erin came by every day, brushing their coats, speaking in soft tones. A bond had formed, stronger than words. One crisp morning, Erin walked into the stable to find something magical. Valor was standing. No sling, no support. Just him, legs trembling slightly but proud, tall, alive. "Dr. Patel!" Erin shouted, unable to hold back the joy. "He's doing it. He's really doing it." The vet rushed in, stunned. That's incredible." The foals danced around him, bleeding with excitement. Valor didn't move much, but his head turned to Erin. Their eyes met. "Welcome back, boy," she whispered, placing her hand on his neck. Spring rolled into summer, and with it, the final chapter of their healing began. The sanctuary held a public open day, inviting families, children, and supporters. Erin stood near the paddock, holding a mic as a crowd gathered. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, voice clear and full, "I want you to meet someone very special." The gates opened. Out walked Valor. His gait was slow but steady. Behind him trotted Hope and Spirit, their coats gleaming, eyes wide with curiosity. Gasps. Applause. Some people wept. "He didn't fall," Erin continued. "He chose to leap, because he knew his children's lives mattered more than his own. And now, because of your support, he's alive. They're alive. And they're home." Afterward, children lined up to lay flowers by the paddock. One little girl handed Erin a crayon drawing, 3 horses standing tall under a rainbow. The words read, *, real heroes have hooves. *. Erin smiled, blinking back tears. She placed the drawing in Valor's stable, right above his bed. That night, the stars were clear again. Erin sat on the fence, watching the little family graze under the moonlight. She spoke softly, not needing to be heard, just needing to say it. "You didn't just survive the fall. You rose from it." Valor lifted his head toward her. And for a moment, under the night sky, everything felt right in the world. Because sometimes the most heart-stopping leaps lead to the most beautiful landings. The end.